Well, sir, that was an eventful day.
The dragon's cowardly escape has broken the spirit of her armies.
Her armies flee and scatter, seeking for Gorgar to lead them. They know not that he's dead, but the rumor will spread soon enough. Injured as she is, Kremil will not prevent us from reclaiming the mountain home. Gundabad is ours. Gundabad is ours.
Let all take up the cheer. Gundabad is ours.
Kremil Frostheart is wounded, and we will need to deal with her. But not now. Let us enjoy our victory. What say, my dwarves? What say, my courageous allies? Let us all take up the chair. Gundabad is ours. Gundabad is ours. Gundabad is ours.
Durin has agreed that the Jaruka will have a place in Gundabad, and I am satisfied.
It is done, Pineleaf. Durin's agreed that the Jaruka have a place here, and I'm satisfied. Let the old rivalries wash away in the torrent of our shared hardships, and let new bonds be forged by the blood we spilled together. There will still be work to be done to make a home for my people in Gundabad, but I welcome it. If you help us to work, will be easier. What say you to this, Pineleaf? Good, good. The Joruka welcome your assistance. Well, what do you say, Gloin?
We have done it!
Prince Durin has achieved what we swore to do, and the mountain home has been reclaimed. Aye, there remains a dragon to manage, but I saw her flight as she flew away, wounded, and I deem more than her pride was injured there. And without Gorgar to command, her grip on Orkine will surely be loosened. Enjoy the victory, but prepare for the next. It is a Longbeard saying, but all of the Gabilaka will be well to keep it in mind. And what about Bosi?
We have the victory! Gundabad is ours.
Broger would be pleased at our success, but if I know my cousin, he will be disappointed that he missed all the fighting. And yet, his son Broin fought well when the Daramut was interrupted, so perhaps fatherly pride will prove a balm on Broger's heart. Do you know something, my friend? During the battle, while you made your way up to the peak, I thought I saw my cousin fighting alongside you. It must have been only a trick of the light, but for a moment I would have sworn that Broger. Well, it is a day for battle shouts and tales of glory, and those were always my cousin's favorite ways. Perhaps he should not resist one more. Well, what do you say, Bori?
You should have seen it.
The orcs passed in around us, and I thought for sure that it was the end. But then Fothrit and Broin came rushing by, and when swung their axes as swiftly and in such concert that they seemed to be one dwarf and not two. I have never seen anything like it. Their battle dance was really something. You don't suppose Fothrit has a sister she hasn't mentioned? I never cared much for wooing before, but the sight of their spirited scuffle has made me want to find a deadly dwarf woman with which to share such joyful combat, and let our enemies beware. You let me know if you find one pine leaf, and I shall tidy my beard and sharpen my axe blade, the better to impress her. Ah, and there they are, right over there. Well then, what about Emok?
Are all such Dueromuts so eventful?
You should have told me you planned to invite Treville Frostheart and her armies. But the day belongs to us, and the dragon has escaped to nurse her wounds. If Durin and the Joruka prince know what they are doing, they will dispatch courageous warriors to put an end to her threat, and fast. Still, this is a great victory, and I intend to celebrate it. I advise you to do the same. And what about Venko?
When we set out from Scarhold, did you think this is where our journey would lead?
I tell you now that I did, for the Joruka are noted optimists. Well, perhaps not my friend, but both Durin and Prince Igor have reached an understanding, and their agreement should end years of tension and conflict. A place will be made for my people in Gundabad, and we will work together with the Longbeards to defend it from any enemy who would seek to take it from us, whether they be orc or dragon or other fearsome foe. I will yet have a hearth above which to hang my brother's swords, and I know both Likub and Dusik would be pleased. All right. Now, what do Fothrit and Broin have to say? What do you have to say?
When first I came to Elderslade, I asked you to keep a secret for me. Do you remember?
I feared I did not have the courage to fight another war like the one that claimed my father's broker's life in dark Khazad-dûm. And I did not. When the dragon appeared above the Dwaramut, it was as if I was back in the depths of that drowned treasury, scared and alone. But this time there was no Ziegelberg near at hand, no hope of survival. I despaired, Pineleaf, and I thought to run. But then I saw Fothrit standing near, and a great courage rushed through me, a courage I never thought I could have again. I raised my axe, and without a word the two of us set upon the approaching orcs, and our battle axes was like nothing I had ever experienced. I would not have thought it possible, but so it was. And now, Gundabad is ours. And Fothrit?
You made it.
We did not have a good view over the peak, so I could not tell exactly what befell you once you departed up the slope. But Broin assured me that you knew what you were doing. As for us, it turns out that Broin and I have complemented each other in battle fairly well. I knew that his axe would do even before he did, and he knew the same for mine. I would prefer not to boast, but I dare say the orcs will not choose to tangle with the two of us for some time, and if they do, beware. Once my master Stali begins to teach me the art of sculpting, I should like to immortalize this battle in stone. Picture this, Pineleaf. Me and dear Broin back to back, axes at the ready, while a whirlwind of orcs and hobgoblins encircle us. Our foes are carved from a single sweep of the rock, with no telling where one enemy ends and another begins. And as for a name, perhaps I'll call it the courtship. Well, perhaps. We'll see. Names are very difficult, aren't they? Yes. Now, speaking of your master, let's see what he has to say about this.
This was a great victory for the Longbeards and for Prince Durin. You know what that means.
Yes, there will be a tremendous call for me to make statues of everyone involved, heroes in mighty poses with their weapons aloft. I will be kept busy for years, and will need to hollow out the mountain entire to have stone enough. Perhaps I should accelerate the training of my apprentice after all. Yes, that might be a good idea. But one thing still confuses me, Pineleaf. I'm perplexed by the identity of the mysterious dwarf who you accompanied to the peak. Do you know who he was? Oh, well, I'm surprised you didn't recognize him. But I suppose. So, you don't know him either, I suppose? He did seem a regal and powerful figure. I wonder if he knows anything about the Zabad Ibeen. The Zabad Ibeen. Well, certainly not anything that he could tell about today, probably. Really?
My day is nearly up, friend of my friend. The sun is setting.
I will rest well with the knowledge that Durin is once again at home in Gundabad, as he should have been. And when he is king, he will lead all the dwarves into a new age of peace and prosperity, as was always his desire. In all the long years of my sleep, through which I watched all the trials of the dwarves, I have seen the end of countless days, but I have never seen a sunset so beautiful as this. I guess I should leave him in peace and speak to Durin. We have the day.
I must thank you again, my friend, for all your help.
We could not have retaken the mountain home without you. We could not have taken it without you.
Where has Mozart gone? I wished to speak with him before the day was ended.
He has gone to watch the sunset. Is it too late? Will you come with me, Pineleaf? Let us find him in the chamber beneath Gundabad, if it is not already too late. There is something I wish to ask him, and I will regret it if I do not. Very well. Let us return to the tomb. We have returned for one final farewell.
We are not too late, but I deem his time is short.
Mozart, I cannot forgive you for the treachery in your past, but I acknowledge the aid that you provided the Gabilaha in the reclamation of Gundabad. For that you have not only my gratitude, but that of every dwarf whose heart longed for the mountain home to be restored. So too do you have the thanks of dwarves not yet born, who will now know a world where Gundabad will once again be held, not again be held by the orcs. The question is for me, Mozart, not as a prince or a king to be, but as a dwarf only. Did you see it your dream whether I would one day have victory in Khazad-dûm? I would have us reclaim it, as we have with Gundabad, but I cannot tell if only failure awaits us, as it did for the Iron Garrison and Balin before.
My dream is ending, Durin. I will watch no more.
Your fate is your own, and will be the result of the choices that you make. Whether those may lead to good ends or ill would be up to you and to those who stand with you. But I have seen our kind face innumerable trials during the long years of my vigil. It is the belief that this dwarf that you will have success in the age or the next, though it seemed far away and nearly impossible to achieve. Farewell, Durin, both my oldest friend and my newest.
Goodbye, Mozog. Once I called you friend, and once enemy. Let us part now as friends.
For there will be no chance more to make it otherwise. Take your rest, last of the Grey Malls, and know that on this, your last day, you were a son of Gundabad, and a proud dwarf. And now, it's once again a statue. The last of the Grey Malls has left the world, leaving but the statue.
He is gone.
Whatever distant sight was given to Mozog by the first crafter is gone with him, Pineleaf. I thought he might have advised me one way or the other, and so helped me to make the choice. Should Khazad-dûm stay lost to us, or is it to be my task to reclaim it? But he guided me not, and yet I still feel comforted by the words. Why should that be? Perhaps it is because it is as he said. Those who stand with me will lend me their courage. One day, perhaps, it will fall to me to lead another union of dwarves to the doors of Durin. And on that day Khazad-dûm will belong to the dwarves forevermore. In this age, or the next, did he say? Let us work together then, and see that the age that comes will be one of peace and prosperity for all the good folk of Middle-earth. And in the end, perhaps the lesson of Mozog will be this. Not all stories end when they seem to, but rather they continue, and you cannot fully judge one's part in it during the telling. Both good acts and evil shape the world, in Gundabad no more or less than anywhere else, and it is the duty of good-hearted people to care for those who dwell in it. Will you take up this duty with me, Pineleaf, and make that the legacy that we leave behind? Very good, Pineleaf. We will begin in Gundabad, and who knows where else the adventure will take us. But we will meet it gladly, with courage in our hearts, and our eyes upon the horizon. So concludes the Legacy of Durin and the trials of the dwarves. So concludes this series. Farewell.